here in Fremont for the Week 2 High School Football Coaches Show for 2025 here on Eagle 99. Glad to be with you. My name is Nick Roth. I'm happy you're listening to me if you're listening on the radio, and I'm also happy if you're watching me on our YouTube live stream. Again, if you want to take a look at that, you can go to YouTube, search Eagle 99 WFRO, which will pop right up. Or if you don't want to do that, go to our Facebook page where the link is posted. All you got to do is search Eagle 99 WFRO on Facebook. Click the link, and it'll direct you right over to my beautiful channel. And speaking of our live stream, I want to say thank you to Josh Frederick, who's back again this week to help us with our live. And boy, it has not looked any better than it has looked this year, and it's all thanks to Josh. He has a new high-tech camera. Not only does he have a new high-tech camera that he brings with him, he's got the lights set up. I mean, the thing I would do last year with these coaches shows, it looked so primitive because we just had a camera that we put on the tripod, and we had to rely on natural light. So I showed Josh the first show what he needs to do. He goes, oh, no, I'm going to post this thing up. He sure has, and we really appreciate his help this season. Well, like I said, I am at Frickers, and you cannot
Get a better deal for dinner tonight if you're anywhere else. $9.99 will get you a steak dinner, a sirloin steak, side salad, and a dinner roll, all for $10. I mean, you can't beat that. Oh, yeah, and if you got kids, bring them along, too, because kids eat free all day, every single day. So we thank you, Frickers, for sponsoring the Coaches Show and for having the best deals around town. Tonight's Coaches Show has a pretty star-studded lineup. It is St. Joe Central Catholic Crimson Streak night, so I'll be talking with head coach Josh Waring and a couple of players coming up in about 10 minutes. And then at 7:30, I'll be talking with Scott Stecker, the head coach at Woodmore, and it'll be the first time we'll be able to talk Woodmore Wildcat football on the Coaches Show this year. And boy, have they gotten off to a good start at 2-0. And then at 7:45 tonight, we'll be talking with the Clyde defensive coordinator Jake Jenny, and we'll talk some Clyde football and their test this week coming up against the Ashland Arrows. And Kyle and I will be at that game on Sister Station 92.1 The Wolf on Friday. And then, of course, at 8 o'clock, we'll talk with Chad Long about those Ross Little Giants getting off to that sweet, sweet 2-0 start this season. So make sure you stick around. It's going to be a fantastic night for our Coaches Show tonight. Let's take a look at what else is going on this week on the Eagle 99 and 92.1 The Wolf Sports Networks. Of course, tonight we have our Coaches Show. Tomorrow on 92.1 The Wolf, we have the Ryan Day Show talking OSU football. That's going to be from 7 to 8 p.m. And those Buckeyes riding high after beating the previously ranked number one team in the country, the Texas Longhorns. Defensive coordinator Matt Patricia put on a clinic against Arch Manning, who I think, and Josh can't answer me on the air, but I think Arch Manning is getting unfairly shredded right now. He's just a kid, and he just got his first real start on the road, and he's got a big name to live up to, and to just shred him apart like he's nothing. It's the first game of the year. It's the first game of the year. You got it, and it's in the shoe. You got to give him the benefit of the doubt there. Nonetheless, great win for the Buckeyes on Saturday. Wasn't flashy, but it was enough. All right, on Friday this week on Eagle 99, we'll football Ross at Perrysburg. There's our big game of the week. The Ross Little Giants looking to take on Perrysburg. They are always tough to beat, but Chad Long, we're going to talk with him later. He's got this team running smooth, and that'll be a great game. 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock kickoff for that. It'll be John Kearns, the infamous John Kearns, was the voice of the Little Giants for, I don't even know, decades. Long before I was born, he was calling Ross Little Giant games, and so he's getting back in the booth at Don Paul and calling that game with Scott Logan. Again, 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock kickoff for that game. And on 92.1 The Wolf, it'll be Kyle and I at Clyde High School for the Ashland Arrows as they come and visit Robert J. Bishop Stadium, home of the Clyde Flyers. 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock kickoff for that. Hopefully Clyde can get back on the winning track this week when Ashland comes to town. On Saturday on 92.1 The Wolf, our sister station, Grambling at Ohio State. 2 o'clock pregame and 3:30 kickoff for that. I was reading a cool article about that. Grambling State, of course, is an HBCU, And they're known for their football because they're very good, but they're also known for their marching band. And it's a very big stage that they get to showcase their marching band, and they're really excited about it. So actually, that might be a halftime show that you don't want to miss. Reminder, we'll have the Paul Keels, Jim Lachey call, 2 o'clock pregame, 3:30 kickoff for that. And then on Saturday night, it is still Saturday afternoon. My apologies. It is Bowling Green State University football right here on the Eagle at Cincinnati, 2:30 pregame and 3:30 kickoff for that. As a Falcon alum myself, I am really excited to see how Eddie George does against the Big 12 opponent in the Cincinnati Bearcats. I went to Bowling Green. My sister went to Cincinnati, so we're going to have a divided household coming up this Saturday. But it'll be fun. It'll be a good time. 2:30 pregame, 3:30 kickoff for that. Todd Walker and Gibby will take you through that game. Next week, Monday starts out here on the Eagle, the BGSU Falcons Nest Radio Coaches Show, 6 to 7 p.m. Todd Walker will talk with Eddie George and some other fall sports coaches on the Eagle. On Wednesday, our next week's Coaches Show will be here, and I'll be here again. Kyle and I are doing 2 and 2. And next week, it will be Gibsonburg Golden Bear Night. So I'm telling you, folks, if you want to come down and watch the show, you better get here pretty early. The Gibsonburg Golden Bears always pack the house, so much so that we're always asked when we set up our first show here, hey, when is Gibsonburg night? Because those guys show up and show out. It's awesome to see. Next Thursday's Ryan Day show, of course, on 92.1 The Wolf from 7 to 8. And then next week we get into some more high school football. But I don't want to talk about any of that before I talk about the upcoming games this week and week 2, what happened and what the coaches have to say about it. And it's St. Joe night, reminder, and we're excited to have Coach Josh Waring coming up next with some players. Stick around and stay tuned here to Eagle 99 WFRO and on YouTube. I'm going to have more for you coming up with Coach Josh Waring and his St. Joe Streaks. And welcome back to Frickers here on Wednesday night in Fremont. Reminder, Frickers Wednesday night is steak night, $9.99. You get a steak dinner roll and side salad, all for $9.99, and kids always eat free. It's the Eagle 99 2025 High School Football Coaches Show. Joining me now from St. Joe Central Catholic is Coach Josh Waring. Josh, thank you so much for being with me here tonight, taking the time. We're going to talk with some of your players coming up here in about 10 minutes. But I first wanted to talk with you about last week's game. And I was there. I called the game. And boy, oh, boy, it feels pretty good to get a statement win like that, huh?
It does. I mean, we go into every game thinking we can win. And some things just opened up, and we were able to take advantage of it.
Yeah, your team for the past few recent years, well, you sure haven't been in a position to stomp opponents like that, and you do finally get one, and you put the young guys in at the end of the game.
Yep.
How big of an advantage is that they get varsity playing experience?
It's everything. I mean, the guys that are playing now, they had to be thrown in the fire early, as freshmen and sophomores, and that's why we've done well, every succeeding year. But, those guys will be gone eventually. So we've got to get those young guys in to, get them the reps, let them see the game. Because you can only emulate it so much at practice, and until you see somebody with a different jersey color, it's a different ball game.
Well, and the kid I want to talk with you about the most, obviously, this week is a kid that stood out all game last game. It was his game, and that's Liam Thiessen.
Yep.
And I think he had 4 touchdowns.
Yes, he did.
Total that game,
Yep.
and one got called back.
Correct.
He had a punt return, right? They got called back. How much of a leader has he been, and how happy are you that he finally got his chance to shine the other night?
We've always known he's, we have weapons, and he's one of them. And he's very versatile. We can throw him at a slot receiver, at a running back, at a an outside receiver. That's the nice thing about it. But it's nice to have him get rolling and get some, because he's done a lot for us throughout the last 3 years. And he's really been our defensive player of the year the last 2 years in a row. And to get him more involved in the offense, maybe we found something that we already knew, but I could see him getting more touches based on that. But we also had one of our captains here, Ethan Grawl. He had a couple touchdowns called back.
He did.
And he was gone. So that's one of the things that we really got to work on is tightening the ship a little bit with the penalties. And you don't want to take away aggression, but you got to be smart about it.
Yeah, and to talk about Ethan Grawl, and he had a few big runs, as you said. I just love seeing you line him up at fullback most times. You just give him the ball on a dive, and he goes. But talk about Ethan and all these other seniors. First of all, it's nice to see that you have so many seniors on the team this
nice.
year.
Yep.
Talk about their leadership and what they've been able to do this season.
They set the tone really in the off season. All the times they get together, all the workouts, the lifting. It's a tight-knit group, and it has been for the last 2-3 years. They understand what it takes to be successful, and they got a little taste of that last year. And we're just we're building that program to where these guys set the tone, and the younger guys behind them see what it takes and see how they lead, and hopefully we get something the ball rolling, if you will.
Well, St. Joe, you build a program not only based on success, but you also want to show class as well. And
Yes.
I want to point out one of the classiest things that I've seen in recent years. Now, Cardinal Stretch started the game, I believe, with 13 active players on their roster.
Perhaps.
And by the fourth quarter, they were down to 10
Yeah.
due to injury. And I saw the officials confer. In fact, I thought maybe they might call the game because of low numbers. But you both decided to press on, and you agreed to have the clock lowered to 8 minutes. And I just wanted to point that out. And it was already at running clock, which was nice. But I just wanted to point that out, that I thought that was a very classy move by you, Coach. And I think it speaks volumes of the type of team that you guys raise and build. Let's talk about another guy that didn't showcase as much on Saturday as I thought he would. But he's still one of the playmakers on this team.
Correct.
Andrew Spieldinner. Yep. He's got 137 yards on the season. He's got a couple of touchdowns. And I believe 120, maybe 109, somewhere that came in week 1.
Yeah.
So talk about Andrew and what he's been able to do.
Andrew's, we like I said, we have weapons, and it's kind of hard to get everybody the ball because we've got so many things going on. But the way we look at it, what's the best situation for our offense to get these guys the ball? And every opponent's different. I mean, we're pretty versatile in what we can do, and in the first game, Andrew was offensive player of the week, and he touched the ball a couple times in our first play of the series, and he was gone. So and he has that big burst potential, just like a couple other guys like Ethan Grawl and obviously Liam Thiessen. And there's other guys too.
Oh, there
which
are.
is nice.
Zach Ohms, your quarterback's
Zach Ohms,
always a threat to run, and he had a beautiful ball to Owen Tooman.
Yes, he did
the other night. So, St. Joe on the up and up this season. Let's talk about your next opponent, Sebring McKinley.
Yep.
What do they bring to the table, and what do you have to game plan against?
Well, they were a sophomore-laden team last year, and the coach is really hanging his hat on that. We won 49-0 last year, but all those guys are back, and they're much better. And they've got a win already this season. So, they are much, much improved. And so are we. I mean, so we're, they bring, some size up front. They do. I mean, it's going to be a matchup. That's going to be one of our issues is, the matchup up front. But they have some skill in the back, on defensive backfield and offensively. With their size, they like to run, what we call a 2 tight end set, but it's just 5 guys on the line. But yeah, it's a run heavy team, and if you're we couldn't stop the run our first game, and so I'm sure they got a hold of that tape and going to do things to, try to run right at us. But our guys are up to the task, and we talk about being physical at the point of attack, and our guys are ready to go.
Now, you said they got a size advantage on you a little bit. So did Cardinal Stritch. They had a size advantage. But do you think it's going to be like Stritch to where even though they're a little bit bigger than you think maybe you got them out conditioned and you can tire them out pretty quick?
I think so. I think we have more team speed, and I think we're more athletic overall. And, I came from, I guess, the old school where we're going to pound the ball. But, with the athletes that we have, we've got to open things up. And I think we're looking at a game that Zach Ohms could be, we're going to try to showcase him, some of the things he does really well.
Well, that's good because, and Scott and I were talking at the game the other night, you'd think in 8-man football you try to open it up with the passing game a lot more. Now, you work with what you got.
Sure.
But, there's so much more open space to work with, and it sounds like you're going to try and open up the passing game a little bit. Is it Friday night this week?
It is Friday, yep.
It's not Saturday?
Correct.
And we wish you all the best of luck with that. Sure. That's head coach Josh Waring from St. Joe Central Catholic here on the High School Football Coaches Show live from the Fremont Frickers. Coach, appreciate your time. And we're going to bring in some of your players here. Who do you want to go? Who wants to go first?
Who wants to go first? All right, Ethan Grawl is going to be first.
Ethan Grawl. All right. Well, man, I want to talk to Ethan. You can come on up. Coach will give you the headset.
Yep. Here you go.
Thank you, sir. There you go. Hey, Ethan, how are you?
Good. How about yourself?
Good. Well, I want to talk to you a little bit about your last game, Cardinal Stritch. And, boy, you had some really impressive plays that you made, not only on offense but on defense. And can you talk about this coaching staff and just how much they put you in a position to make plays like that?
Yeah, no, I'm really appreciative of the coaching staff that we got here. We have a lot more coaching staff than what we have this year, and we just have years upon years of coaching experience, and they really know where to put you in the right position at the right time.
You're a senior this year, and talk about how when you were a freshman, you're playing 11-man football, not a win in sight, and talk about what really made you stick with it. And how much more sweet is it now to get some wins and to be competitive and to finally shine like you can?
Well, my freshman year, we had a great group of seniors, and one of the seniors was my brother. And I talked to him a lot, really looked up to him, because he really put me under his wing, and he really kept me through it. And, we didn't really win a lot my freshman year, my sophomore year, but that group of seniors, they were really committed. And they really inspired me, to just stick with it and work hard. And, eventually the storm will eventually end. And it did for us our junior and senior year.
Well, you talk about that senior group when you were an underclassman. Did they teach you what it was like to be a leader? And how are you embodying what they taught you this year as your senior leader?
They did. My brother was really a big help in that group of seniors, all of them. We had a lot of seniors that year. And they really opened my eyes on what it takes to be a senior and just what it takes to play ball, and then I'm really incorporating that to make sure to do what they did for me my freshman year, and that's to lead the younger guys, show them the ropes, so that when my time is up, they know what to do.
All right, just a couple more questions for you here, Ethan. Ethan Grawl from St. Joe Central Catholic, starting running back. And on the defensive side of the ball, he is a defensive end, which is not a combination you see very often, running back and defensive end.
No, it is not.
But what's it going to take to get a win over Sebring McKinley this week, do you think?
Effort is a big one. They got some decently sized guys, and then just effort is a big thing, and then being in the right position, and then
doing your
scouting it out.
1/11th, basically. But do your job on the field, your 1/11th of the
Right.
work.
Right,
And
yeah.
you think if you guys execute that game plan, it'll be a good night?
Yeah, hoping for a good night, as long as everyone does their job.
Last question for you, Ethan. What are your plans for next year? Where are you going to college? Are you going to the workforce? Are you going to try and play football somewhere? And then if you want to shout anybody out, go ahead.
Yeah, so as of right now, I plan on just going straight into the workforce, but I am looking into playing football, after high school and as the years go on. I don't know where yet, but we'll figure that out.
Do you know what you'd want to do in the workforce if you just went straight to the workforce? Just concrete, laying brick? What is it?
Something in the engineering aspect.
Something in the engineering?
Yeah, I've really been looking forward to that. So.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, Ethan. Thank you so much for your
Thank you.
time tonight. Send on the next one. Who have I got next?
Up next, you have William Connell.
William Connell. Man, I'd like to talk to another senior on this team, offensive lineman and defensive lineman. William, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. Nice to meet you.
You too.
Nick. Well, William, they don't have a lot on the stat sheet for linemen, but I do got to say you stuck out the other night because you had a monster hit on one of the kids from Cardinal Stritch. And boy, oh boy, it's nice to see a kid do well on the defensive line as a former defensive lineman.
Thank you.
Myself. Oh, you're welcome. But first question for you is going to be kind of similar to what I asked Ethan. The coaches, they put you in positions to win this season. What's been one of your biggest jobs this year, not only on the football field, but in the locker room to kind of help the younger guys?
Well, I'm a captain this year, so in the locker room, make sure get the younger guys hyped up, everyone else, make sure the younger guys know what they're doing if they do get into the game, help them out at practice if they need it. Yeah, and coaching, well, they rely on me a lot because, I don't
Well,
wanna
you're a
sound-
captain. You're a
I don't want to
senior
sound
leader.
full of myself, but, I have to, block better than usually the other linemen.
No, absolutely. That's what a captain on the line needs to do, to step up and take the lead. And you're doing a great job of that, if I can notice you from the broadcast booth over at Don Paul. Again, talking with William Connell, senior offensive and defensive lineman for the Streaks. And, William, you're a leader of this team. And, those young guys, you take them under their wing. Are you happy to see their progress, and just how much have they improved, even from summer camp until now?
I'm very happy with the improvement. One of the guys, Gabe Rojas, he's a little smaller guy, but his footwork, he's a lot faster. He hits a lot harder too. He hit the weight room hard in the off season, and I kind of helped him out with that. So
Well, that's the definition of a leader, taking those guys under your wing, going to the extra weight room sessions, those extra conditioning sessions to make sure that they're in shape. And being in shape is something that we saw that you guys were against Cardinal Stritch. How has the conditioning plan this summer helped you to prepare and really out condition those guys? And you guys put it to them, and they were tired by the middle of the first quarter. Do you contribute that all to the hard work and coaching in the summer off season to
I
get
do,
you in shape?
Yes, we did a lot in the off season. Lots of sprints, lots of conditioning, lots of weight room action. We would go 5 days a week, sometimes Saturdays, and we hit it hard. Me and all the other guys.
All right, last question for you. It's the same question that I posed to Ethan. William, what are your plans next year? Are you going to college? Are you going to the workforce? And if you want to shout anybody out, go ahead and do the same.
Well, I'd like to shout out 3 people: Coach Yasasi, Griffin Vassar, and D'Angelo Parker. And I'd like to go into college, probably to medical, something in the medical field.
Do you have any schools you're looking at right now?
None at the moment.
You got time.
Preferably something in Ohio, probably.
Yeah, you got time. I'll tell
Yeah.
you what, Bowling Green, one of the best schools. All right, thank you so much. Great to talk with you, William. That was William Connell, senior offensive and defensive lineman for the St. Joe Streaks. And finally, coming up, talking to me about the Streaks is
Zach Ohms.
Zach Ohms, QB1, the only one here that is not a senior. So we'll have Zach Ohms on here in just a minute. Zach, thanks so much for joining me here.
Yeah.
Get that headset on and secure. It's all right. So, Zach, you're the only one here that isn't a senior. Tell me, how well have these seniors done? And I know you're a big part of it, too, because not only are you a junior, but you're a multi-year starting quarterback for the Streaks. But how well have these seniors done with leading this team?
Yeah, the seniors have done a great job. Even since I joined freshman year, they weren't seniors, but they were still showing leadership towards me as the younger person that just joined the team. And they were, even just showing leadership as sophomores. And I think their leadership has really improved, too, as seniors this year.
There's one thing I want to ask you that I couldn't ask those guys, and that's about a specific play in general. As I said, I was at the game on Saturday night, and with about 47 seconds left in the first half, you throw up a deep ball to Owen Tooman, and he came down with it for a score. Walk me through that play. Did Coach call that play? Did you audible to it? And then did you know it was a touchdown when it left your hand?
So we got the ball back, and I was telling Coach Vassar on the sideline, like, we have time to score here. So we call verticals, and that was the play from the huddle. So I automatically see Owen. I know I'm going to throw it to him already. So
Is he kind of a sure hands guy? You go down to him deep in the field, and he'll come down with it,
Yeah.
especially when he's that open?
yeah, I've been throwing to him since like 4th grade probably. So we
And-
have that chemistry that I knew if I gave him a good ball, he was going to catch it.
And so I assume that with most of these guys, you've been playing with them since about 4th grade. Am I right on that?
Yeah, even
How-
flag football.
How big of an advantage is that to be with these guys that you've played with your whole life and knowing each other so well? I mean, how much does that contribute to not only your love of St. Joe, but love of football in general?
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, everybody that I've played with since flag football, I haven't just played with them on the field. I've hung out with them outside, school, everything. And I've played with Griffin Vassar, our center, since flag football too. So I think that's really big that he's came back this year to be the center.
Again, it is St. Joe night here at Fremont Frickers. $9.99 steak night as well, and kids always eat free. Make sure you get on down here and get yourself something good to eat. I'm talking with Zach Ohms, starting QB for the St. Joe Streaks. And Zach, are you the only player on the roster that's not a two-way player? I thought I saw you at safety out there. Am I wrong?
We were thinking about it for a week at practice, but I didn't see the defensive side of the field.
No? You're pretty important out there.
Yeah.
You can't, I mean, and something that a lot of these 8-man teams don't have, as I alluded to earlier, is depth. So they got to keep their starting QB in bubble wrap at any time they can. Talking with Zach Ohms. Zach, one more question for you. What are your plans for next year? Do you know where you're going to college? If you are, if you're going to the workforce, and if you want to shout anybody out, now's the time.
Well, I'm a junior, so
Oh, that's right. I
Yeah.
apologize. You're the only one that's not a senior.
yeah.
And do you have any plans for college next year, or are you not thinking that far ahead yet?
I've thought about it, but I still have no clue.
No, yeah.
So-
Well, you got plenty of time to
Yeah.
figure it out. Trust me. So thank you so much, Zach. Really appreciate your time. Appreciate everyone's time here from St. Joe. And when we come back, we'll talk some Woodmore Wildcat football with head coach Scott Stecker. Stick around and stay tuned here to Eagle 99 WFRO and YouTube. I'm going to talk Woodmore coming up. On here for the High School Football Coaches Show Week 2 review. And reminder, tonight is $9.99 steak night at Frickers. Make sure you get on down here, get yourself a sirloin steak, dinner roll, side salad, and a drink, all for $9.99. Bring the kids. Kids eat free. And now I'm talking with head coach of the Woodmore Wildcats, Scott Staker. Scott, if I'm not mistaken, this is your first time on the show this season.
This season, yes, it is.
Yes.
Yep.
And
yeah, it is.
so it's the first time we get to talk Woodmore football. And so I looked it over for the first time earlier today, and I'll tell you what, not too bad of a start, 2-0. And let's start with that defense, giving up 6 points in 2 weeks. How strong have they been, and how proud of you are your guys so far this season?
Oh, defensively, we've come a long way. I mean, we switched to a 4-front. We've got a really good defensive line that's very active. So, and we got a lot of good DBs as well and linebackers. So, I'm just happy we went to the 4-front, and we're playing with some athletes back there. So it's helped us out immensely as far as that goes.
Well, and then offensively, I mean, your quarterback this season has been lights out, Calvin Lipstraw. 11 of 16 so far this season, 230 yards and 4 touchdowns. How big of a leader has he been on the field and in the locker room, only as a junior?
You know what? He's a quiet leader, kind of like one of those quiet assassin type
Show by
guys.
example, not by words
He
type
just
guy.
is calm and collected. It just nothing seems to faze him. Nothing seems to get him rattled. He'll come right back after an incompletion throw, a touchdown pass. But he runs our offense well. I mean, we're a ground and pound, pro style offense, which a lot of teams don't see anymore with the spread stuff going on. So he knows he knows how to read things, and he's getting better and better, even though he's a junior. So played a lot for us last year, so it helped.
Well, and to talk about the rest of your team this season, first of all, you've got some of the most about to be 4-year lettermen
Yes.
than I have seen on any roster in a long time. So how much of an advantage does that bring that a lot of these kids are experienced varsity players for 2, 3, 4 years?
And even previous, this is only my second year there, but you could see that they had some football skill. I call it football 101.
Yeah.
So they could see things and do things. We just had to teach them, some fundamentals that we do and how we do things, blocking assignments, things like that. And even in year 2, anybody with, some football 101 and skills can manage to adapt and learn. And they've done a very good job of doing that. And you can see it offensively this year as far as, their ease of knowing what to do, where to block, and just, run the offense. People say, like they look at the scores and see, 57-0, 48-6, and go, you're in a spread. I'm like, no. We're running the ball. I mean, we're pro style, smash mouth football. So I love it.
Well, let's talk about the guys that run the ball. Number 1 is Landon Rich, who has 368 yards on the season already and 6 touchdowns. I mean, how tough is this kid up front, and how excited are you that you get to hand the ball off to him most times?
Tell you what, special kid, 11-1, 100-meter, fast, it's a qualifier at state wrestling, 3 sport letter winner, and 1,816 yards last year, led all of the whole SBC, all 3 divisions in rushing coming back. So, I mean, great runner, great vision. We also have, Michael Seeger does a great job. He's playing 4 different positions on offense. We've had Michael at tailback, wing, fullback, and also tight end, receiver, and Jesse Lopez too, and fast. We got some guys that are, pretty fast to the perimeter, but we also have some guys like Cole Partridge, who's our fullback, who's, unselfish.
Yeah.
And we got a couple other wings that are blocking, and, our O-line, again, they're just starting to see it and get the job done, but I mean, we got some big holes, we see on film. Like, I don't think I could run through them.
Yeah.
Not in this body and this age.
Yeah.
But, those guys do a really good job of getting there and seeing what they need to do and make a cut.
Well, you're talking about Michael Seeger earlier. You talked about how he's kind of a utility man that almost now, I went to high school with a few of these kids. I wasn't one of them myself, but guys that are so athletic that you almost don't know what to do with them because you can put them anywhere on the field. So do you feel like you found a niche for him and a place where he really feels comfortable and fits, or is it just kind of still kind of testing the waters here to see where he's at?
I would say for Seeger, I mean, he played some quarterback before I got there, and he can do that too. But I think he is one of the most unselfish players that we have because he'll say, hey, where do you want me, coach? I'll play anywhere. And we've had a couple guys go down and a couple guys get moved, and we can put him anywhere, and he's done a fantastic job, of being able to play all these positions. I mean, last week, we put him down at tight end, caught a touchdown pass. We put him at wing, he runs the ball or he blocks. So just, does a super job for us.
And he's got a little brother in Robert Seeger. I assume that's his little brother.
That's his little brother, and very good receiver and DB. And, a lot of these guys go both ways. And, we have a special kid, too, Wesley Kaiser, who's a receiver for us, who plays safety and broke his arm last year. He's coming back from that, and tremendous asset to have another receiver like that. Hence, there's, some throwing yards. And under the Coach Staker ground and pound offense, you don't see the ball in the air that much.
Yeah.
But this year we're going more to the air because we have those guys.
Yeah.
We have those, when you have dudes, you might as well use them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, they almost give you no choice not to use them.
True.
Well, one more question before I move on to next week. Again, talking with Coach, talking with Coach Scott Staker of the Woodmore Wildcats. I want to talk about the progression of your team. Now, I know it's only week 3 now, but from summer camps in the beginning of June, July, until now, how far has this team come, and how proud are you of these guys?
Oh, I'm very proud of these guys. Again, we've had some things this summer that, we had a beach day, the military beach day where they did conditioning, and I think you do things like that bond them together. And we have, on Thursdays we have a faith-based part of our program that, it gets kids involved in faith. It gets them involved in each other, and I think they've come a long way from knowing that from last year to this summer, and then bonding even more into doing the things. And they just like being around each other, and I think that's where they've really keyed in on learning their tendencies, learning what they need to do to trust each other. How's that? I think that's been a really good thing. And again, being familiar with the offense and now the defense coming along, they're having fun. They're having fun, and they're rooting for each other, which is really good.
And that's kind of the most important part. People forget about football. It's a game. You're supposed to have a lot of fun while playing it. So to see the kids out there having fun is awesome.
Yep.
And it's a testament to good coaching that they can go out there and have fun. And so now I want to talk about next week. This week, I should say. The Redmen come to town to Fostoria.
Yep.
What do you guys need to do to get the W?
Tell you what, we need to play mistake-free football. We need to play our style football, take the ball to them. We need to cover in space. They have a lot of really good athletes, and they can make plays in space. So we have to break down tackle on defense, which we've been doing a really good job. We need to get to the quarterback so that he can't get the ball off because he can throw the ball pretty well at times. And, again, we just need to have that clock management, run the ball, ball security, no fumbles, and special teams. We had some things with special teams this year. We thought, how are special teams going to be? So they've been pretty good. So we need to keep that up in all 3 phases. But they're good. I know they haven't had the outcome they wanted the first 2 games, but we respect all our opponents, and they play good ball at times, and we just have to come out and from the start and take it to them.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about your assistant coaches because the assistant coaches don't get a lot of the love all the time. How important are these guys and what you guys do, and how do they contribute to your guys' success?
Oh, it's been great. We got a great mix. Coach Strong's our defensive coordinator. Has done a very good job switching over to a 4 this year. We have 2 younger guys. Coach Doofendock played for Genoa back in the day, and I'm going to date myself back when I coached. So we bring him. He's got the attitude. Coach Unverfirth, Coach Hughes, a younger guy, was a state guy at Napoleon. Coach McGee's our DB guy, and we got Coach Partridge too that comes, and he was an Oak Harbor guy that knows kind of the old wing T blocking, tough nose stuff. So it's kind of a mixture, and then I'm the old guy, so it's kind of oversee some of the things, but. Very good coaches, very good coaching staff, and it's taken us a while to gel too. When you come in and, like if I'm moving into your neighborhood, you don't know me as a neighbor.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of this year we've really kind of found, what does Coach Staker do? What does Coach Strong do? What does Coach Doof do? What do we do? And it's like, now we know. I mean, now we're joking at practice. Now we're having more fun because we understand what's coming around, what we're doing. And, like today, if offense or defense runs longer, it's like, hey, take your time. Sun's still, out. We got stadium lights if we need it. But it's good to get that rapport with one another the second year.
Again, talking with head coach Scott Staker from Woodmore, the head coach of the Wildcats. Coach, just one more question for you here before I let you go. I had you tell me about your assistant coaches and what they do, but tell me about these seniors and how well they've led in the locker room and what they've done for these young guys and led by example.
I tell you what, the seniors this year, we have 8 seniors this year. I don't want to leave anybody out, but, we have Landon Rich, we have Michael Seeger, Bradley Allgaier, Ryan Maynard, Ethan Greer, Jesse Lopez, Aiden Smith, and Bailey Genderzak. And all of those guys have contributed and still have, contributed after all these years. And we do have a really good core of leadership this year. And they're a lot, as far as leading by example. Whether they're, a couple of guys that like Ryan Maynard and Bailey Genderzak, on the offensive line and defensive line, they're helping and coaching the younger kids to get better. So, again, that all plays into everything and makes it easier to keep, it's like a restaurant here. It's easy to start a restaurant, but it's hard to keep it open.
Yeah.
So starting a football program's not that hard, but it's keeping it going, consistency, building that culture so it can continue on. And these seniors are really leaving a good legacy for the younger kids to come through.
All right, Coach. Well, good luck this week against the Fostoria Redmen, and of course next week you take on the Lakota Raiders, who are 2-0, could very well be 3-0 at the end of this week.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good game because it was close last year.
Yeah.
Lakota, and Lakota's a good ball club. So
Ryan Lozier, their young head coach over there,
it'll be exciting.
Yeah.
Yep, it's kind of like new school versus old school, so to speak.
Yeah, very. Thanks so much, Coach.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Hey, no problem.
Anytime, give me a holler.
Thank you. And welcome back into Frickers here on Wednesday night for our high school football coaches show of 2025. My name is Nick Roth. Alongside me now for some Clyde football talk is defense coordinator Jake Jenny. Jake, thank you so much for being with me here tonight. My first question for you: you are the defensive coordinator of the Clyde Flyers. It's been kind of a rough go of things for the first 2 weeks, but what have you seen from your team in practice this week that you like moving into this game against Ashland?
Yeah, no, the first 2 games haven't went the way we wanted them to. A handful of plays, 5 or 10 plays in each game that if there's a different outcome on those 10 plays, maybe we're in a different spot. But kudos to both of those teams. They made the plays. But our kids have bounced back. We've had a good week of practice this week, getting on to wiping the old stuff and moving on to Ashland. So we've turned the page from those 2. Practices have been better this week. It's kind of saddening with the kids, and they've came and put the work in.
Well, you know, as I said, you're the defensive coordinator, and we can't talk Clyde defense if we don't talk about the guy that I probably talk about too much on the air when I do a Clyde game, but it's Hector Garza. And this year, I believe he's a junior this year. Am I correct?
Correct, yeah.
And how much of a leader has he been on the defensive side of the ball? And I understand that you've tried to get him more involved on offense as well this year, too.
Yeah, no, Hector's a great kid. I get to spend basically 365 days a year with him, with track and the weight room leading into football. So we spend a lot of time together for the last 2 or 3 years. But a great kid, works tremendously hard. Is kind of the middle of our defense, the guy that gets the plays, gets everybody lined up, and then makes those plays. And he can cover pretty much sideline to sideline, and he's not afraid to stick his nose inside in the middle when need be. And does a lot for our defense.
Well, let's talk offense now, because I don't think you guys have really struggled too much on offense. I've seen flashes of really, really talented offensive plays here. Let's talk about your running back that came back after last year, a strong year last year, Adam Young, and this year he showed also some flashes of greatness. How much of a leader has he been, and how happy are you to see how much he's improved from last year to this year?
Yeah, AY had a great year last year as a junior. Came back this year. He's been working at it. Has, again, another kid like Chico, puts the time in the off season, in the weight room, and has moved on from last year. You know, wasn't happy with last year, has really moved on. Rushed for a handful of yards, had a couple of nice runs for us last week against Start. And again, not happy with the outcome, as another kid that's rolling the sleeves up, putting in the work, and trying to get us to the next step.
Well, let's talk about another kid that hasn't really set the offense or defense on fire, but I'll tell you where he has provided a spark is special teams. Declan Crockett, young guy. He's got some speed, and to tell me how excited you are to see his development over the season and over the years.
Yeah, Deacon's another one. Deacon and Hector are the 2 track kids that I've seen, basically 365. Deacon's kind of been forced to grow up in a hurry. We knew he had potential as a sophomore last year, and he hasn't came off the field the first 2 games. He's a receiver for us on offense, has the speed to take the top off of defense, turns around and plays corner for us on defense, and is usually matched up with their speed guy on the outside. And then he's our kick returner and does a little bit of everything for us. But Deacon is probably one of the fastest kids in the conference, just has raw speed to him, and he is working his way. We got to work on his hands at times here and there, but in terms of foot speed, being able to run with people, I don't know if there's many that can run with him or have the speed that he has.
Again, talking with Clyde defensive coordinator Jake Jenny. And my apologies to Deacon and the Crockett family. I've been saying Deccan for, 3 weeks now. So I apologize
That's all right.
to Deacon and his family. It makes more sense that it's Deacon. I thought Deccan was a little bit weird. We're talking Clyde Flyers. We're talking, let's go back to that first game against Bellevue that I was at. And I know we like to put the game behind us, but you were in position a couple of times to tie up the game or even take the lead. Tell me what loose ends you guys got to tie up so that next time you're in a situation like that, you can convert.
Yeah, no, third downs, speaking defensively, are big for us. We had crucial third downs where we could have gotten off the field or made a play. And those didn't go our way. And you narrow those close games, 1-score, 2-score games down to about 10 plays, whether that's a third down, a missed punt, or a missed interception. Those crucial third, fourth downs where you can get off the field and a chance to give the ball back to your offense. And we weren't able to make those. And kudos to Bellevue, and they came out ready to go. New head coach, Coach Shepard, had those guys ready. And they made those plays. And, unfortunately, that's been a big point of emphasis for us is getting off the field on third down, knowing the situation of the game, whether it's third and short, third and long, and trying to anticipate and put our guys in the best situation to succeed.
When you start out the season 0-2, and now I know that this is not Ryan Carter's philosophy, but some coaches it is. You start to maybe start scrapping the game plan, thinking up something new. Are you guys sticking to what you guys know and have faith that the ship's going to turn around here and you're going to get the hang of it? Or are you guys going to try out some new stuff in the upcoming weeks?
Nope, we are sticking to it, and our whole kind of MO is just trust the process. Work on the little things of getting lined up right, getting the right assignment, know where you're supposed to go, and just working on the little things. And if we can one little thing after another and continue to build those, that'll transition into big things. And it may not happen the next 2 weeks. It may take 1 week. We may see it this week. It may take 2 or 3 weeks. But our schedule doesn't get any easier. Ashland's loaded. They have skill all over the field on both sides of the ball. So our kids are going to have to be ready to go and make sure those little things are there in order to get the outcome we want.
And you're getting a little ahead of me here. I wasn't going to talk about Ashland yet. At first, I want to talk about these young guys. How have you seen them develop from summer camp until now?
Yeah, they've came a long way. Just in terms of you get some of the young guys that have been thrown into varsity reps, and the whole speed of the game speeds up tremendously from most of the guys were used to freshman or JV last year, and now they're getting their first reps on a varsity field on a Friday night. So part of the nerves is one, and just getting used to the speed of the game and more people in the stands, a crowd. But our kids have grasped that. I think we are slowly getting better at that. They are kind of learning the flow, learning that the guys are a little bigger, faster, stronger than what they're used to. And that's just something that takes live reps. You can't simulate. It's hard to simulate with the scout team when you're running against your JVs or your B team, and it's hard to emulate that throughout the week. But then you get to Friday and the speed picks up and the intensity picks up. So the kids are buying in. They're getting used to it now, and we should hopefully start to see some steps in the next couple of weeks.
Well, now let's talk about your matchup coming up this week. We're going to be there, 92 on the Wolf, on our sister station. Kyle Knight and I will have the broadcast for you. The Ashland Arrows come to town. And like you said, they got a lot of talent on their squad. What does your defense have to do to kind of hold them in?
Yeah, no, they give defenses fits. They're a 5-wide team. They have a nice size O-line. I think they average about 220, 230 across the board. So they have some bigger kids up front. Their quarterback, he's in the roster at 6'6", 250. He's a big boy.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah. He can run it when he needs to. He's got an arm. I think he's going to Appalachian State. But they have speed all across the board. They'll motion one of the guys back into the backfield and hand it off and let him run behind the horses up front. And a lot of those guys turn around and play defense for him as well.
Kyle and I last year, when you guys played Ontario in the playoffs, and they had Bogdan Miller, and he wasn't 6'6", 250.
No.
But are you kind of game planning for this kid the same way you did against Bogdan?
Yep. He doesn't quite have the feet that Bogdan does. By no means does this kid have bad feet. Now, Bogdan he was a different caliber.
Yeah.
And when the play broke down, he was able just to go get 15 or 20 yards on his own. This kid's more of a downhill right at you. He does extend the play with his feet, and he'll extend the play, let his guys run down the field, and he's got an arm. If he wants to put it 50, 60 yards down the field, he has that potential.
Well, Coach, last question for you. We talked about what your defense may need to do to get the win. What does the offense have to do? Are you guys going to go a bit more conservative game of, kind of run it, maybe run the clock out a little bit, or are you going to play Clyde football and just score when you can.
Yep. No, we're kind of sticking with our game plan. Again, kind of like we said earlier, just fine-tuning little things. Short yardage. If it's one, we need to get a yard, getting those guys to know their assignments. And while it seems like it's, instead of jumping ship, just fine-tuning that, hey, here's where we got to go, here's what we have to do, trusting in it, and hopefully those little things, if we just stick to Clyde football, we'll eventually right those and we'll head back in the right direction.
All right, thank you so much. That was Coach Jake Jenny, defensive coordinator for the Clyde Flyers. Really appreciate your time this week. And we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about those Ross Little Giants who are 2-0. How sweet it is. Coach Chad Long will join us when we come back. We're live from Frickers on the High School Football Coaches Show. We are live on Eagle 99 and WFROradio.com and also on YouTube. You can go to our YouTube, search Eagle 99 WFRO. We'll pop right up. Or go to our Facebook page at Eagle 99 WFRO. Click on the link, and you'll be directed right over here. Coming up next, it's Ross Little Giant football from Frickers on Eagle 99 WFRO. Keep it right here.
Hey, no problem. I'll make sure I get Clyde.
Show for 2025, Week 2. My name is Nick Roth, and alongside me now, talking Fremont Ross Little Giant football, Chad Long. And Chad, thank you so much for being with me here tonight. And let's talk 2-0.
Yeah.
For the first time in a while, I would assume.
Yeah,
And,
probably since Caden Holmes and those guys
yeah.
were here. So, yeah.
And you beat two not only tough opponents, but one of them last week being your hated rival, the Sandusky Blue Streaks. Tell me, how awesome is this group of guys, and how pumped are they to be 2-0?
The kids, they're excited to be 2-0. They expected to be 2-0. We as coaches believe that this is a special group, and we can go far places as long as we stick together and continue playing good Fremont football. It's always great to be able to beat Sandusky. Bottom line. Any fashion, if it's by one or whatever it is, it didn't start off the way we wanted it. We kicked off, and they returned that opening kickoff for a touchdown. I was like, oh, my gosh. But then we came right back down and scored. And then they scored, we scored, and I think we scored again in the first half. And then second half, we just really turned it up. Braylon Garza had an unbelievable game. But being 2-0 is great. It's a great start going into the gauntlet now that we jump in and we're playing against Perrysburg. And the bigs and the crossovers. So we just got to stay healthy, and if we play our game and we have to play a very clean and superb game in order to beat Perrysburg, because we all know they're pretty good.
Well, we'll talk about Perrysburg coming up here in a little bit, but I want to keep it at Sandusky. And you talked about how it's always good to beat Sandusky and in any fashion. And it's also in any sport you love beating Sandusky. I'm not from Fremont. I didn't really know how deep the rivalry went until I was around last year when Ross basketball was able to beat Sandusky.
Yeah, that was an
And,
upset.
oh, my goodness, did people go crazy for that.
Oh, yeah.
So beating Sandusky is a big deal. And I'll tell you what helped you propel you guys to victory this past week. 573 yards, total yards of offense this past week. Tell me how you were able to do that.
I mean, it starts with the running game. Being able to run the ball is something we were trying to utilize and do in the first week against Tiffin Columbian. We were very passive and very cautious with our passing game against Tiffin Columbian, and we knew we'd have a good running game. But when you get someone like Braylon at quarterback to be able to stretch the field and open it up, it just makes us really dangerous, because now they have to honor the passing game. And Braylon did a great job. I think he threw for 194. And
He's 12 of 15 for 194. You can't get much.
His completion percentage the last 2 weeks has been awesome. It's like at a 80-85% completion. And
Talk about how nice that is to have a QB that's that accurate and pinpoint that can hit his receivers wherever they are.
We knew he could always do this, and it's just a matter of him waiting his time to be able to do it. Unfortunately, he got hurt last year. But we knew Braylon has the ability, the talent, the smarts, the skills. And we're not going to forget about his legs either, because he scored 3 rushing touchdowns against Sandusky as well. So Bray's a dangerous quarterback who can run the ball and throw the ball, and he can throw it on the run. He can sling it sideways. He can throw a ball not even looking, at kids. So he's an exciting player, and we're excited to have him for 2 years, and hopefully he continues to improve. We say that, but his completion percentage is awesome.
Yeah,
but
it's hard to improve on what he's already done. It's been so good.
Yeah, he's come along very well, way better than what we thought he would at this point. But his knowledge and understanding of what we're trying to do offensively and what concepts we're trying to pick apart on the defense, he's picking it up well, and he's just hitting the ground running right now.
Well, and I should mention before we start talking about the rushing yards, which are impressive in themselves, but I should mention that Garza was 12 of 15, and one of those was an interception, so only 2 of the passes that he threw hit the ground, that's impressive. Let's talk about your rushing yards now. This past game, you like to give the ball to Talon Brown, and you can see why. He had 16 attempts. He had 158 yards on the ground, but he wasn't able to find the end zone, at least rushing the ball. He wasn't.
Yeah, he had 158, but we had a 60-yard touchdown that he had called back, due to holding. And, Talon's one of those kids. He doesn't care as long as we win. A lot of our kids are that way. He doesn't need the glory. He doesn't need the touchdowns. He just wants to do his part in order to put us in a situation so we can win football games. He celebrates as if he did score the touchdown when some of the other guys did. It's just the type of caliber of kid we have out of Talon who also plays both ways.
Well, it's great to have a kid like that, and I'll tell you what, your guys' rushing attack is not to be messed with. Not only did Talon have 158 yards by himself, but you had 3 backs that, if I do my quick math here, that's 137 yards just for them combined, not including Talon Brown's 158 yards on the ground. How vital and nice is that to have? You have all these guys, Joel Picard, Ben Wagner, Stephen Ryder, Garza takes it himself, Raylan Roberts, even Parker Jackson and Landon Sims. You got all these guys you can give the ball to, and they can get you yards.
It's nice. I am a firm believer it comes from the position coach. Vernon Sievers is the running back coach and has been our running back coach for the 10 years of me being a head coach. And he's an amazing coach. Every year we'll have 3-4 running backs that are ready to go. They can run the ball, and he trusts them. he works them hard. He does a lot of really good things with the players, the running backs, and, he has them ready. And depending on the package and what we're wanting to do, he's the guy that kind of puts those players in position to be successful, and he has done an excellent job, and it all runs through him. We've had some good running backs over the years here, and that's because of what Coach Sievers does with the players.
Talking with head coach Chad Long of the Ross Little Giants here at Frickers in Fremont. $9.99 steak night tonight until close, and they close pretty late. I'm pretty sure it's midnight or 1 a.m. that they close here. And you can come in here, get a steak dinner, roll and a side salad and a drink, all for $9.99, and kids always eat free. Talking Ross Little Giant football, we just talked about their big win, 48-14, over those hated Sandusky Blue Streaks. And now let's talk about the toughest test of the season so far, for sure, coming up on Friday night, the Perrysburg Bees. What do you guys got to do in order to get an upset win there over in Perrysburg?
Yeah, Perrysburg, first and foremost, they're an excellent program. They did lose last week, but it was against Olentangy, and Olentangy's pretty good. And they were back and forth, just a slugfest out of those two. I mean, Perrysburg's going to be a very physical team. They have a lot of depth. In order for us to beat them, we have to contain and stop and minimize the quarterback from running the ball. They RPO a lot, and the quarterback runs the ball a lot. And he's an unbelievable athlete. If we can bottle him up and contain him, we'll be in a good situation to maybe win the game. So, and then offensively, we got to take advantage of the opportunities given and be able to run the ball and then stretch the field passing.
Are you going to try to kind of shorten the clock a little bit, or are you going to play Ross football and just throw the ball and run it when, you obviously run with a lot of different backs, but are you going to let Garza throw it like he can, or are you going to try and milk the clock a bit?
I think it'll be a strategy based on what the score is and field position in which we have. We can do a little bit of both. I like certain formations and things in which they give us that we can throw, but I also like certain formations that we can put them in that we can run the ball. Sometimes they're in a 4-front. They're a 4-3/3-4 defense. I think we'll probably see both. If anything, probably the 4-3 more than the 3-4 defense, just because of our running attack. And that's fine with us because we can throw the ball. So, it'll be a chess match, and, we'll figure them out some part through the game, and we'll go from there.
Well, it sounds like Perrysburg runs a newer style offense, something that you see in the big colleges and stuff. And a lot of times the teams that can do that are due to the depth, like you said. You said they had 100 players over on their sideline.
They'll have about 100 players. Their line will be big up front. They got the Gherkin kid at left tackle, who is probably easily the best offensive lineman in Northwest Ohio.
Really?
Who has multiple offers as already given. I think he has like 10 or 11 offers.
Oh, my goodness.
He's a big kid. And I feel that we have Cole Myers, who's a very big kid, as well. Cole's 350 pounds, and we're going to see what he can do against this guy, and then we'll go from there. It's just one of those things. They have a lot of depth. Their physicality has always been an issue for us. And, we got to be ready to play. And I feel that this is a total different team than any years in the past. These guys are not looking past Perrysburg. They're really accepting this challenge, and they're ready to play against them to prove, the people that they belong to be there.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that it feels different, because my next and one of my final questions to you would be, I can tell by the way you're talking, by the way your team has been playing, and by the way you come in here, this team is different. What makes this team different from your past teams? Because you've had talent in the past. What's made you guys, have they just been more receptive to putting it all together?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, yeah, that's exactly it. They're accepting to put it all together as a team, not as individuals, but as a team, a unit. Defensive unit, offensive unit, special teams, all of it. These kids don't care about the glory. They just want to win. And that's the motive, and that's the leadership of what we have. We have really good kids at Fremont. Right now, we have a very strong leadership group of the seniors, the juniors, and the sophomores are coming along, and it's contagious. Once you have a bunch of good kids in a locker room, like you may have other winning programs, it becomes contagious. And ultimately, like right now, this is the first time I can say we have a bunch of contagious football players that want to win. With everything aside, whatever it takes, they want to win a football game. And I can't say in my 10 years as being a head coach, in that locker room, it's been like this and how close these guys are.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, my next question for you, and my final question will be to Coach Chad Long of the Ross Little Giants. When the young guys, not just the freshmen and sophomores, see that, but when your 5th and 6th grade junior high kids can see these high schoolers putting all their talent together, putting themselves aside, because I think a big problem that we have nowadays is you got a lot of parents in little kids' ears telling them, if you work day and night, you'll be the greatest thing ever. I'll buy all this new equipment. We'll do travel sports. Instead of doing multiple sports, we'll go do one sport and just travel all year round. When they see the high schoolers throw all that aside and work together, how much does that help you for the future years to come?
Well, I think it helps us a lot. I mean, when you win, kids want to come out. What we're seeing in this day and age right now is kids don't want to work hard.
Yeah.
That's why they don't play football. It's a very dedicated sport. Kids don't always, well, we're going to focus on this sport. Well, last I checked, and all the college coaches that come in, they want athletes. They want to recruit athletes that are in multiple sports.
Well, because nothing makes you better for a sport than playing another one.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly it. They don't want to find gem they want a gem that needs polished up. They don't want a kid that just concentrates specifically on one sport, because then that kid already met his max potential. Where if a kid's playing 3 different sports, well, he's never been able to concentrate on one. When we do that and we really love him, that's the type of kid you want. However, with the middle school and all that, middle school to us at Fremont, for the Fremont football team, is development. It's not always about wins and losses, but it's a development, create the discipline, push the education, push good character. And by the time they get to us in high school, they already know the expectations of the program. And that's where we're sitting at, and we're raking the benefits right now with really good kids, 9 through 12.
Head coach Chad Long from the Ross Little Giants. Coach, thank you so much for joining me here this evening. Congratulations on being 2-0, and good luck this week as you try to beat those Bees and make it 3 in a row. Really appreciate your time here tonight.
Thank you.
And for you guys, we appreciate you tuning in online or on the radio or on our YouTube live stream. Of course, you can always check us out every week on YouTube Live. If you can't navigate YouTube, that's okay. Just head over to Facebook. We'll have the link posted for you every week. And reminder, there's still time. Come on out and get yourself a steak dinner tonight here at Frickers, $9.99. Sirloin steak, dinner roll, side salad, and drink, all for $10. If not, they got a bunch of specials all week, and kids eat free all day, every day. So thank you so much to Frickers for letting us host again this year. Thank you to Haley, our server. Always fantastic. And until Friday, stick around and stay tuned here to Eagle 99 WFRO. All the hits, all the time. Thanks, Aiden. Appreciate it.